All right, guys, I'm going to do a video to show increment, so what a clock increment looks like. So I've been playing these 10 plus O games, so you can get an idea of how they work. I'm going to try a 10 plus 5. This means 10 minutes cumulative with a 5-second increment, just so you can kind of get an idea of the difference that a 5-second increment can do for you. So I'm just going to do my standard kind of Queen's Gambit opening. It looks like he's going to go for a declined. Most likely one of these moves next. And you can see my clock is already a little bit up because that second move, I knew what I was planning on doing, and like I said, I'm almost always going to go here next. Assuming that my opponent plays anything that isn't crazy wild out there, yeah, I'm just going to do my standard move. So I've already made several moves now. And you can see my clock hasn't moved at all. In fact, it's gone up 5 seconds. So the increment does help. It doesn't seem like much, 5 seconds, but because it gets added on top of where you are currently, it does help. All right, so I'm gonna start trying to pay attention here. He's got 1, 2 attack. Oops, I can draw my lines. I gotta get better at drawing these lines. And I've got 1, 2, so I'm safe there. Okay, so that's a pretty standard move. I'm going to do this. He's freed up his bishop here. Is probably going to come park it right there. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to bank my pawn. So now we're back to even material. So that this is that gambit, and it's giving away a free pawn, but not really because I just take it right back. Now we're both castled. He's got this move in waiting, so I'm probably going to do this at some point in time. Because technically one of the things that, no, I see I've still got this guy here, so I'm okay either way. I see if this guy ends up here, then the queen can come down here and can threaten checkmate. So that's something that I always try to keep an eye on. But now we're at post-development phase. Everybody's nice and developed. Everybody's hunky-dory. Just trying to decide what I want to do next. Now that's all of my memorization, is getting to that point. Where I put this queen, I don't know exactly what the plan is. Let's see, if I go here now, so he's threatening to take here, which is fine because I can always move it back. I got plenty of room to move it back. But let me think here. If I go here, he takes, I take, he has the next move. Or if I go here and he takes, yeah, see, okay, this would be bad on my part. If I go here, the move order could change. He could take, I would take back, and that still leaves him available to take. So I would go down a whole piece. So the move order is very important here. And because of my increment, I have plenty of time to think about it. I'm just going to go ahead and back off. The question is, where do I back off to? So I have a choice between this square or this square. And the only difference I'm debating really right now is if I go here, that gives me this long diagonal. My queen's backing it up, so it doesn't threaten checkmate at all, again, because of this knight still sitting here. But it could be I could sacrifice my bishop to take his pawn, get his knight over here, which then frees up me to try this move. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm going to play conservative and just tuck my bishop away. It's unprotected, but I'm probably going to move my rook over here or move my rook over here to give it more protection. Or I can move my bishop back here and line it up this way, but I doubt it. Again, with that knight sitting there right now. See, if I go here, I could go here, trade my dark square bishop to get my pawn over here, which would chase that guy away. So that's an option. If I want to chase this knight away. So he's probably thinking the same thing, but now All right, so the next question is, yeah, I think I want to go here. I don't want to give up my bishop yet. I'd like to have the bishop pair for the long haul, but if I can chase this guy away, then my plan of eventually looking at moving this knight with checkmate, that's an option, a possibility. Notice this knight is no longer pinned, right? The king is gone, so I could take here if I wanted to. And I'd secretly like to see this queen retake here, so that way when I take here, the only thing he has to take back is with that pawn. Now he has this pawn here to take, so I'm not that concerned about it. This is just a standard trade. So when I take here, he's still got the queen to take back. So what if I try my knight move first? Is that worthwhile? So again, because of the increment, like I have so much more time now playing at even at a slower speed than I was playing the previous games. I get so much more time. So if I try this, most likely he's just going to respond with either that to try to take it, or he'll respond with that, which blocks the checkmate. So I'm just going to make this trade. Again, it's not a trade I want to make because it gets his queen out, and I'd rather him go this way. But at this point in time, I can't think of any way to get... I can't think of any way to drive that queen away. Now, I am noticing, though, that if he takes back with the queen, that pawn becomes a weakness. Can I snatch that pawn is the question. This pawn would then become a weakness. So those are the things I'm looking at. He's taking his time here as well. Again, just the 5-second increment has really slowed this game down for us. So we're going to continue with that. He still has a dark square bishop, so I don't want to mess up my structure too much, because that dark square bishop has options to slice down, arrows slice down these two diagonals, so I don't want to move either one of these pawns if I can help it. Or if I do have to move this pawn, I want to tuck my king over on a light square. He still has his light square bishop, so yeah, you see how he's got the bishop pair? So I do want to be cautious of that. Let's see. So if he takes here and I take that pawn, does that cause me any headaches? I can always bring my queen back here, which wouldn't be the end of the world, or I can always drop it right back, and I have those available to me. So I think that's what he's looking at right now is, see, exactly, he saw that as well. This person is rated a little bit higher than me, and so he saw that. He saw that take was going to cause issues. Now, the other thing this does is it does open up, it does protect this square, so my knight can't jump to that square anymore either. So now with that not being here anymore, this becomes a threat, not of checkmate, but just picking up that pawn. Or do I want to try to get my queen here so that I can route my knight, my bishop around to actually make a checkmate threat? So those are the questions I'm looking at. Do I take this route and just try to steal that pawn? Or do I try for something bigger like this? Let's try this. It's also kind of a waiting move, meaning what is my opponent going to do? It's not a do nothing move because notice it's still protected. So I'm not putting out pieces that are unprotected. I've still got 2 moves to get over here. And that's a lot of time to give up. So I can't just throw pieces around and just know my opponent's not going to do anything. I'm probably going to need to chase this bishop away at some point. But I want to be careful because, no, see, he would have to make a few extra moves too to get something like that, which is ugly. So this game is still wide open. There's still lots of time left. I do want to start thinking about giving my king some breathing room. I don't want to do it anytime soon. That's where the bishop pair comes in handy. When I start moving my pawns, I open up diagonals. So if I move this pawn, I open up this diagonal. If I move this pawn, I open up this diagonal and this diagonal. So he's looking for this. Is there anything I want to do? He's looking to do the exact same thing I did. Get rid of this knight, which protects that square. What if I were... Okay, so here's a long-range thought process. What if I go here? If he takes, I can then take attack and defend. It doesn't really help much, though. There's really not a good discovery. Like, I can't drop my... Like, for instance, I can't drop my knight here because this pawn is here. I can't drop my knight here and make him think that he can steal a bishop while I go and run checkmate. So that pawn being there is a little bit annoying. And even if I were to try something like this, I can't get around in time. And trying to go here, then here, and there, like that takes way too much time. There's not enough time for that. So I'm going to let him make this capture. I'm going to go ahead and continue with my plan. Notice I still have this diagonal, so if I have to move it right back, I can. If he does nothing, I can go here and give that up while I deliver checkmate. So I'm interesting. Okay. He's looking for this. Okay, so that's what he's doing. He's going to look for this so that he can then block this diagonal. In which case, I'll probably just drop back. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Here? No, because then he's got a fork. Because notice, oops, nope, cancel. Notice that square is defended twice. So if I go here, he takes, I can't take back. All right, let's go. Knowing that he's probably just going to come eliminate. Now notice, if I were to eliminate, he can undouble his pawns and fix that pawn structure, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. It does, yeah. So this is a close game. I don't really know. He's got this undefended bishop over here, excuse me. He's got this undefended bishop that I'd like to take care of somehow, but it is, notice how hard it would take for me to get my knight over there. It would take a little bit of work for me to get my knight over there. Now though, I've got that squared 3 times. And he's only got it defended twice. So I could push. He takes, I take. He takes, I take. Notice he does have these 2 backwards pawns, which would be good targets for me. So these are the 3 targets I'm trying to figure out ways to get onto. I'd like to have my knight here, which I can't do because of this. He's probably going to trade, and I'll trade. You notice this game is taking already longer than my previous games, and that increment has given us just enough of a little bit of a buffer so that we've gone up a lot of times. So over the course of 20 moves, 5 seconds is 100 seconds or a minute 20. Is that right? I don't know. I'm doing math in my head. 5 seconds times 20 moves is 100 seconds. 100 seconds is a minute 40. Excuse me. So he had to defend that pawn. Otherwise, I could have taken it that way. I think I'm going to go here. Because, again, I want to get my... I want to start getting this knight moving. But see now, even if I do that, though, that knight that I was trying to target, or that pawn that I was trying to target is gone. I am going to move this guy back probably here. Notice he was looking for that line there. But his queen is not defended, so if he tries to attack it this way, his queen is not defended. He's probably going to put a rook there and go for this pin, which is fine. I'm probably going to go here and look to eliminate that. And even if he were to take, I can take back. And there's nothing else defending that, so I'm good on that square. So having the increment, it does give us a little bit more time to play it slow, to think out our moves. Spend the time is a resource, so we're going to spend that resource. No sense making fast moves. Besides, I'm low enough in rating. I'm still learning the game, so like this part of the game is the part that I want to focus on anyway. All right, so the question is, do we want to eliminate the queens now? Do we get the queens off the board and move to an end game? We are dead even in material. I have a knight to his dark square bishop. However, aha, I see something. I could go here, which defends my bishop and attacks his bishop at the same time. Or I could just go here and just attack that bishop directly. If my knight was here, that would make that game a lot more fun. Because then the only escape squares for that bishop would be here and here, and my knight has both of them covered, so I could guarantee eliminating that bishop. But notice the only way to get my knight there would be to bring here, which cuts off my defense of that bishop. So we're going to start this game by coming here. I'm double checking to make sure I'm not screwing anything up. He's got some really powerful bishops here that I got to be careful of. Notice that as we've gotten closer to the end game, like we get closer and closer to the end game, these bishops become more and more deadly because there's so much more range. They've got this freedom to range all across the board, and they're hardly blocked by anything. And that's why people, the pros will say that a pair of bishops at the end of the game is more valuable than a pair of knights at the end of the game. Now, obviously, that depends on tons of factors, but one of the young up-and-comers, this kid named Faruja, surprisingly, he's 16 now, he may be 17. I'm fascinated by the kid's career. He is extremely fast player. He plays really well. And he has played, he's probably one of the top-rated players in the world, and he's only 16. The guy's a marvel. And you can see the way he plays, he very much values these two bishops, having the bishop pair. And he plays to make sure that he keeps those on the table. So now he's attacking that twice. I've only got it defended once. And he's thinking that he's got me trapped, but I could sneak back here and start looking at picking up his backward pawn. Or I could just do this and defend it again. I have to be careful of these two bishops, though. You see, I don't want to accidentally forget about them. I need to work on my back rank issues, notice. Now, having this rook here, I'm okay still, because I've got the knight to cover that square, and I've got the rooks to help cover that square. So I'm still good as far as back rank, but I do need to keep that in the back of my mind. That is something I can be concerned about. So now we're finally getting down to the point where time is running low. What are we at, about 20 minutes? Yeah, so we're beyond the initial 20 minutes, right? This was a 10 plus 5. Yeah, so we're beyond the additional, the initial 20 minutes. But see, now I've got, look at this trap though. If he does nothing, if this queen stays here, right, I can take this with check. This is that trap. I take this with check. He has to respond either by taking, or taking, but my next move takes his queen. So I would then trade a bishop and a rook for his queen. Is that a good deal? I think so. So that's probably what he's taking his time, and he's correctly noticed that was a concern, and he got that alignment, took care of that alignment. What happens if I go here with my rook? Put some pressure there. No, I don't think so. But notice now I can't go here anymore. I can go here. I've still got it protected. Damn it! I did the thing. Well, that was a mistake, fellas. Yep. So, you know, I did the thing. What did I say? Watch that bishop. Watch that bishop the whole time. Watch that bishop. Dumb me. Well, I gave up some material. Now I do have back rank issues because he can come here. I've got it covered, but if he takes here, I cannot recapture that way. Now we have an increment, so the expression is flagging someone on time. He does not have to worry about being flagged on time. He's got 1-2 attackers. I've got 1-2 defenders. I'm okay right now. I am going to go ahead and do this. Give me a little bit of breathing room. But he's up in material, so I guarantee he's looking for trades. So if I take, he goes here with check, I have to run away, and then he can still come back and follow up and take. This might be where it falls apart, guys, because at this point in time, I don't know the proper move sequence. Oh, good, he went that way. I'm fine with that, actually. I am fine with that. That's fine. So I'm not dead to rights yet. Most likely he'll come across. Okay. So that's how he wants to play this. I am going to move that up out of the way. See, I've got my increment now, so playing on... Now that most of the pieces are removed from the game, most of the things are gone, there's not quite as much concern. So I'm playing on this increment here. I don't exactly know what his goal here is to checkmate me, but he's picking up some pawns. Okay, so I want to end up here. So that way I've got a chance, not this pawn, excuse me, but this queen, if it can find room to... I want to get here. Question is, how do I get there? I want to get there. So what if I go here? Thinking that I go here and then I go there. Most likely he's going to slide his rook out of the way to get him out of possibilities. Oh no, okay. I've still got this. can just go there, because that takes care of those squares. Basically, by pushing that pawn, he's got a wall here that my queen can't cross, so I have to come down. I don't think I'm going to get there. I'm hoping to be able to slide here, but he's up a full rook plus pawns, so this game is pretty much lost for me. I'm hoping, yeah, that. Yep. So he's up a full rook, and I've got some issues here. And I can't take it. I think that's it. Yep. So he's got a passed pawn protected. I should have tucked underneath it. That was my mistake. Yep, that's a resign. So that was a good game on his part. I think it was a good game on both our parts. So I felt like, here, we'll just quickly do an analysis. I'm not going to spend, this video is already almost 30 minutes. I'm not going to spend a long time doing it, but I just want to look at the what the engine says. So I'll do a proper review of this game for myself here later, but real quickly, we'll just blast through. Yeah, this is a Queen's Gambit declined. This transposes into a Queen's Gambit declined. Notice I said that eventually he'll push that pawn. The idea normally is before this capture, this pawn sits there. So with this pawn, this pawn, this pawn becomes his chain. My pawns sit here, and then eventually one of us breaks the tension with a capture. I'll show you that in the game that Landon and I played, because Landon and I played it. It ended up transposing to almost a textbook Queen's Gambit. So I'm just quickly scanning through to looking at several different kind of areas where, yeah, see, this is white is up a little bit. Yeah, and see, it said I probably should have made that move first. Yeah, make this move first, because that threatens this checkmate once I eliminate that guy. But he has that move, which is, oh no, but then I can make this trade. I don't know. I'd have to look at that some more. Either way, so it's the engine says I'm up a little bit, but not much. 2 points. But you saw how fast a 2-point swing went. I mean, I dropped a rook for a bishop, and that was a 2-point swing right there at the end of the game. So 2-point swing is not crucial. Yeah, this was a bad move. The game engine says, look at that evaluation swing. And I'll have to look at it and figure out exactly why. And you guys watching this probably figured it out. And I'm going to go back and rewatch this video myself just to see things, because, you know, sometimes I play with blinders on and I miss things. But you see how, wow, what is it? Oh, right, pin my queen. Yeah, so pin the bishop to the queen, and then all he's got to do is push that, and he's won my bishop for free. Yep, you see that? So that goes there. My queen is now pinned, or my bishop is pinned to my queen, so my bishop can't move. So either I move... Yeah, he's got 2 attackers on it already. Wow, yeah, see, no. So 2 attackers, I've only got 1 defender on it. He's going to basically win a whole piece there. So I missed that, so those are things I have to watch out for. But you can see the time. We had plenty of time at this moment in time still, so I should have thought about that. Should have been able to see it. Wow, the game also says, yep, still, because we've got this, the possibility of this pin, which essentially removes one of my defenders. So even if I were to defend this another time, one of my defenders is my queen, and I'm not going to trade that away. So we were able, and we were fortunate enough to get out of that. But you can see the evaluation swinging back and forth. This is just a computer. This is the Stockfish 11 plus. This is the engine, Stockfish 11 plus, meaning that it is using the best possible Stockfish algorithm, and Stockfish is a very good computer engine. So even right up to here, the game was back and forth. And then, of course, I did one of those dumb blunders. So that would be, I don't know if that's considered, I don't know if the engine calls that a blunder or a mistake, but pretty much a blunder. because I blundered a rook for a bishop right here at the end of the game. That was a big mistake. So, oh well. But yeah, right up until that point, things were going well. I felt that was a good game, a nice strong game, a nice comfortable game with that increment. But do notice that the game took almost 30 minutes, whereas a 10+0, the longest it's going to take is 10 minutes. So we got an extra 10 minutes to play the game. If I'm in a quick, if I'm on a lunch break or something like that, and I'm going to do a 20-minute game, then I'm going to spend another 20 minutes studying it, or 30 minutes studying it. The difference in clock time, I like that. The other thing that can happen is sometimes when you get to these end games, right? When you start playing this out, let's say, for instance, I made the correct move and I moved here, right? Like now he's got to start making all these little bitty moves, and the clock, you know to make these moves pretty quickly. So the clock is going to keep adding up. So you will not never, but you can set yourself up in a position by just moving your king, back and forth a few times, and not run out of clock because that increment. So that's why that increment is good, because it means that you're not going to lose just on time because you were in a winning position, but you didn't know how to turn it around, or your opponent's just making safe moves back and forth. The increment makes sure that you have enough time to make those moves to finish a game out. Sometimes that can mean that a game like this could take a lot longer because each person has 5 seconds to make a move. That can happen essentially infinitely. There are some rules about repeating positions, and there's a 50 move rule that's sometimes implemented for championships or tournaments, in which if nobody has captured a piece in 50 moves, then they consider it a draw. So a game like this could go for a lot longer, right? There's no reason why this game would have to stop, assuming these other rules, because of that increment, that 5-second increment. I can move a piece in 4 seconds. My opponent can move a piece in 4 seconds, and we each have tons of time still on our clock, 6 seconds. So he can make a move in 4 seconds again. So as long as we make moves in 4 seconds, this game does not ever have to end on time. So that's what the increment can do for you. For me, if I just want a quick casual game that I know is going to end at a certain time, so I'm not wasting my entire lunch break playing just one game, I'll do a no increment game because I know it's going to end on time. Even if that means, yes, I am going to lose games on time that I should have won. And sometimes I will win games that I should have lost because my opponent's flag dropped and mine didn't. But again, that for a casual game that a casual style that I like to play, yes, I call them all rated because I like to see my number, but I don't care about my number because these are all casual games for me. The increment means that these games are going to play out to the end, whereas no increment means the game's going to stop at a set period of time, and I can then go about the rest of my life. So anyway, that's just a game I wanted to show what the increment can do, and how these time controls work. If you're interested in the time controls, I believe it was Bobby Fischer, the great American champion, who pushed for this type of time clock to be used. I could be wrong about that, but for some reason that sounds right, that before Bobby Fischer really pushed for it, there were much different rules about how to time a game of chess. And then before the internet and before phones and before computer engines, games would last for 6 or 7 hours. And the idea being that after 3 or 4 hours, you will stop the game, pause, people will go take a break, and they will come back and they'll finish the game. Well, now you can't do that because if you pause and go take a break, people have got engines and they can pull up their phone and they can see what, different computer lines, and they can do those kind of things. Whereas previously, the only studying you could do would be to look up other historical games, and you can kind of try to find what other people did. So the amount of tools to research in just one night were limited, whereas nowadays I can literally set up this exact position and I can have the engine walk me through, okay, this is how it would go. So therefore, these are the moves that I need to make. These are the moves my opponent could make to refute that. And as long as I do these steps, I win. So engines has kind of changed that philosophy. And I think more and more nowadays we're seeing these rapid time controls because it's done on the computer, and the computer can handle stopping and starting a clock, and you're not having to physically reach over and start and stop a clock, and you can't accidentally move a piece incorrectly. Like he can't accidentally drop his rook there. And then we have to pause the clock, get somebody over to set the clock back to a certain time. So doing games online has made these clocks a little bit, what's the word I'm trying to say? More available, and there's more plentiful options because you can do all this stuff that the computer handles the timing for you. You're not having to physically adjust a clock. So anyway, just wanted to show you guys that video. Hope you liked it. Thanks.